So I was looking through stuff on my old external hard drive recently, and I noticed that I had a couple of backups of Blightgate from May 2020. So this was before I modified the whole neighbourhood to create the storyline, and also before my first YouTube video about the hood, which I uploaded in July 2020. So there are two different versions, one from the 10th of May and one from the 21st. I don't know if this is before or after I discovered the neighbourhood was corrupted, because it's been years now and I can't remember if I made the video shortly after the discovery or if I waited a couple of months. I also don't know why I didn't notice these files before, because I didn't think I had any backups, at least from before I started modifying the hood in January 2021. But there are two backups, not just one, and if I already knew it was corrupted, I don't think I would have made multiple backups a few weeks apart. So there's a possibility that at least one of these backups is from before I noticed it was corrupted. So I thought it would be interesting to have a look at these backups to see if the hood is still corrupted in both of these versions. So this version of the neighbourhood is what the original hood looked like. Obviously I rebuilt the hood to create a storyline around the corruption, but to start with I created this to do the prosperity challenge, which as far as I know was created by Discord Kitty on Mod The Sims in 2006. So if you don't know, basically you use a dice or a random number generator to determine how many households will be in the neighbourhood and how many Sims will be in each household at the start of the challenge. And then you also determine all the Sims' traits this way, like age, gender, star sign and aspiration, and then play them rotationally to get to the 5th generation. With this neighbourhood, I also randomised all their appearance traits to make it super random, though that's not part of the rules. I think I also used something called the Sim Randomizer that opens in your web browser, and it was designed to randomly generate various traits for your Sims in The Sims 2. I can't remember if I found that after creating the hood or not, but it's actually very useful for this kind of thing. You can find that on Mod The Sims, and I'll include a link to it in the description. Anyway, I wrote out a script for the beginning of this video, and believe it or not, there was more rambling than this that got cut. So this is actually the short version of that. So as I mentioned, there are two versions of this hood, so I think I'm going to start with the earlier save, which is from the 10th of May. I wasn't very creative at coming up with names back then, so this is just called Prosperity Hood. I never came up with a neighbourhood name for this. You can see in the family bin, there's these households that were present in Blightgate, and there are only 2 of them again. So I have a feeling this version is definitely corrupted. It's been a really long time, so I don't remember where everyone is. So this doesn't seem to be a very old backup. I think in a more recent version she'd given birth and she had a toddler. In this case she hasn't given birth. I remember a really long time ago there was a problem with this lot here. It was a home business lot. So I'm gonna try and load it now and see what happens. At the time I wasn't making regular backups, which is obviously a bad idea. You should back up your game more often. Yeah, the game's crashed while loading this household. This house seems to be crashing the game now, which is vaguely what I remember happening at the time. I knew there was a problem with this lot. I don't know if that's connected to the corruption at all, or what was really going on with this lot, but there was a home business on it. Okay, well I can't seem to get into this house, and I'm wondering if it might be worth evicting them and going into build mode. Could try evicting them and then moving them back in and see what happens with that, so I might do that. No, it's crashed again. Really doesn't like this lot. Apparently even moving them out and moving them back in, it still causes the same problem, so there's something definitely wrong with this lot. I think what I'm gonna try and do now is go to some of the university subhoods and look at some of the households there, because I had a bunch of Sims that had moved to university, and this was when I think I started to notice weird things. So these 2 were in a sorority house. I think there was someone else. Yeah, there was him. Okay, so I think, should we just go into this house? She was living in the home business lot. I've completely forgotten like what I was doing with these Sims now, because it's been, oh gosh. It's been about 5 years. Yeah, she has a bunch of siblings too. The university professor has a mohawk, that's pretty funky. Oh! Kevin. Let's see if Kevin still has his zombie wants. Kevin is actually pretty weird. I don't think he's one of the default dormies. Maybe he is. I kind of googled the name to see if anything came up. Usually the game randomly generates a name, but they do have actual like original name in the game files. And the weird thing about this neighborhood is I think that a lot of the townies from the subhoods ended up with their in-game name. Kevin is a weird one because did they really like design a sim to look like this? I feel like he was made later by the game somehow. I don't know. It's an odd style choice. He looks kind of like a magician. I think he is actually a uni-sim as well, which is weird because he doesn't look like he was designed to be, and I can't find him by Googling. So he is a dormie at one of the universities. It looks like he doesn't actually have his zombie wants at this point. Now, there's one sim in particular from university that I remember was definitely corrupted, and I'm gonna see if anyone has that sim in their relationship panel. Because I haven't, wait, yes, that sim is corrupted. She's one of the secret society sims, probably like a week or two before I realised the entire neighbourhood was corrupted, really. I think I probably started backing it up after I realised that there was a problem with that lot. If we just make them talk. You can see that she's got one of the male voice actors for the game. She normally has a darker skin tone as well, and the game has switched out skin tones for certain sims from other sims. I don't know whose skin tone she ended up getting, but I think they must have been mixed together, so some other sim must presumably have her skin tone. So Viola Melon is another sim I can't find. Some of them are like pre-made sims that have been corrupted, and the other sims are ones that must have been like created by the game later, because I can't find them, or nobody's documented them anyway. So Viola is another student. Nothing seems to be weird about her wants. I'm pretty sure later on I also added like a living room here, and there isn't one at the moment, and there's nothing in here either. I like redecorated a lot of this space, but they don't have the money at the moment. I'm sure most of the corruption in this neighbourhood probably happened during a singular event that happened at one time. It would have been interesting to know when that event was, though, at least, which is definitely a point in favour of backing up your game regularly, because if something does go wrong, you can kind of figure out why and when a bit more easily. I think this is the earliest version I have that I know of, so unfortunately. We should move in the Roseland and Critter household somewhere actually to check them. So this was my version of Blue Water. So you can see this is usually where Malcolm Landgrab lives, but he's not there. I'm just going to move them into like a random place, I think, and then I'm going to move these two in as well just to see what's happened to them, but I'm fairly sure it'll be the same. So this lot usually belongs to the Ramirez family, obviously. They didn't generate, for some reason, in this neighbourhood. And while we're here, I just want to point out, because I notice this every time I'm on this lot, look how insane the roads are here. I'm sure I've probably pointed this out in another video. If I didn't, I was definitely thinking about it before, because just look at this. It's like, imagine driving down this, and there's like a neighbourhood decoration stop sign that's kind of like halfway through the ground. Just amazing. It's almost like the time when I accidentally fused Belladonna Cove with the Magic subhood. It's not quite as crazy as what happened with the roads there, but it's like, it's getting there. She actually made enemies with Lucy. Oh gosh, I wish I could remember what happened here. Looks like there was quite a lot of chaos here, because she won a fight with Lucy and they became enemies, and obviously he seems to have actually gotten into a relationship with Lucy, so, and then he's in love with Lucy. Oh wait, might as well add all of them, right? Oh god. I think it's safe to say they're broken. Who is that? He wasn't there before, was he? Who is he? I remember Warren, definitely. He's always popping up. Shanine Boehner was definitely there. And then, yep, Danny was there. I don't remember Joseph. Why is he there? Who did Joseph replace? He might have replaced Cyd Roseland. Shanine Boehner is Sarah Critter. You can tell from the relationship with Danny Critter. And Warren is Porthos Roseland. He's replaced Porthos. You can tell because he has Come Here and Play Dead, which are the learned commands that Porthos Roseland was supposed to have. I don't know if Joseph is like just randomly there, or if he's been mixed up with Cyd Roseland. So I'm gonna look at like Cyd's info. So Joseph has been mixed up with Cyd Roseland because if you look on the Sims wiki, his aspiration is knowledge, his lifetime want is to become a criminal mastermind. That's exactly the same as Cyd's. Using the Sims wiki, you can actually get a lot of info about these Sims. So Joseph can kind of tell from how he's dressed. He's usually one of the pre-made hosts from downtown, and he's usually an Aquarius with a family aspiration and has the lifetime want to marry off 6 Sims. Cyd and Joseph are both Aquarius Sims, but they have different placements for the personality points, and Joseph's personality doesn't resemble either of those Sims. He has no neat points. Cyd usually has 3 neat points, and so does Joseph. Normally they both have 3 neat points, but he has no neat points. The corruption took all of his neatness away. He's just a being of pure, untidy chaos now. I think either the Sim's personality is just randomly generated entirely, or this has been taken from someone else's personality. He doesn't have Cyd's biography. So he moved in, and he moved in again. He's moved in twice for some reason. I'm not sure what that's about. Did they move in multiple times as well, or... moved in. That's weird. I don't know what that's about. He must have moved in somewhere else at some point. I mean, clearly they both did because it says it there, but I don't really know what's happened there. Another thing you can see is that it says Joseph's an adult, but obviously he should be an elder, so he's also got the age date of Cyd over there. So his skill points aren't the ones that are listed under Joseph, and for some reason there's no skill points on the Sims wiki for Cyd. I don't know if he normally has skills or if he doesn't have skills, but either way, he has very high cleaning, which is ironic, because very high cleaning points, but really unneat. It's like complete opposites there, but okay. These Sims are still very broken. So I decided to open up a non-broken neighborhood so I could see what Cyd is supposed to look like usually. So as you can see, oh, that's weird. He has the lifetime want to earn 100,000 simoleons, which is actually pretty weird because I thought only fortune Sims could have this lifetime want. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I didn't think knowledge Sims could actually have this lifetime want, and he has no skills. So I think, as far as I know, this is what a normal version of Cyd Roseland looks like, so he actually doesn't have any skills, which explains why there are none listed on the Sims wiki. I wanted to look at a normal version of Cyd Roseland, but to be honest, this version seems kind of weird because he doesn't have the criminal mastermind lifetime one. Maybe I should just go to each of my Sim neighborhoods and look at what's happened to Cyd. Okay. This is very odd. I'm not sure what happened to that other Cyd. Maybe at some point I messed around with him and forgot about it. I don't really know. That's not a neighborhood that I play in normally. It's one that I made to get some footage for random YouTube videos. There's like a lot of weird stuff going on there too. There's like a massive house full of zombies from something I did at some point. So this Cyd seems normal. I don't know what happened with the fortune lifetime one in that version of Pleasant View. He has no skills or talent badges. So I think he's not supposed to have any skills normally, but the Joseph version does have skills. So now I'm really wondering how Joseph left that household, because Joseph is clearly here. Maybe before I looked at him, I moved him in somewhere else or messed with him in like a previous video. Maybe. Something like that might have happened. Maybe Joseph just had a restaurant to host and so he had to leave. I don't know, but he wasn't there when I looked at this household in the later version of Blightgate. And not only is Joseph not in the household, but he also isn't in the relationship panel. So it's like he just kind of disappeared. He is still in the game. I've seen him in Blightgate, but by that point he wasn't Cyd, or he wasn't in the household, and he wasn't in their relationship panel. So, yeah, weird. He'd been removed, and obviously he'd never been in that household in that version of Blightgate, at least as far as the game was concerned, because they had no memory of him. So, that's kind of weird and sad. I guess at least parts of them still remain in other Sims, the ones that were deleted. One thing that's kind of weird is that if you look here, he's got, you know, the pack thing, which makes sense because it's in his memories that Cyd joined the pack. So his relationship here is much higher, but there's still no, you know, tags. I'd guess if he were to do something like this, it would prop up straight away. It's kind of weird that it's not showing there. Like they said it, I guess, using cheats and then didn't interact when they were setting this household up. Yeah, so you can see it now, it's showing. That's one thing that's different in the broken version of this household, that for some reason their relationships are lower and they don't have the same relationship tags, but they still have the same memories, so that's a little bit weird. Yeah, he doesn't have the pack tag for Joseph. Like, he knows something's wrong. He knows that Joseph is not actually Cyd. I mean, he's not Porthos either. The pack tag is still here with this version of Sarah, but it's not there for Joseph. I don't know why. He still has the memory, and it says Joseph as well, which is really weird, right? I don't know why they've maintained the same relationships, but they haven't. What the heck happened here? It's so weird. I'm just really confused about why Joseph left that household. Like, the only explanation I can think of is I must have done something before I recorded the video and just forgotten. Like, maybe I added Joseph somewhere else. I'm gonna check in the later version of this as well, though, to see if Joseph is still there, or if he's already left. Strays. Yeah, you can already see in the stray file thing, there's a bunch of, like, those Sims, like Swan, and who is meant to be one of the kind of the Tri-Q Sims. Not, I mean, related to one of them. There's one member of that. I'm actually gonna look to see if she's got the same family tree. So normally Swan has a bunch of siblings. She's part of that really big downtown family, but she is not connected to them. And this is pretty much what I remembered when I was looking at her before. So she's basically the same. And you've got her. This guy is just like, what is happening here? And the break dancer, yeah. Phoenix Go. Sounds like some kind of video game or something. Phoenix Go. The Sims Wiki says that Phoenix Go is a pre-made NPC elderly tourist, so that's good to know, because I was actually wondering if any of the Bon Voyage Sims were messed up, because most of them don't seem to be, but he actually is. Joe Graham is the garden club guy. That's why the garden club never showed up in this neighbourhood. There were certain gameplay mechanics and Sims that were just missing, like Mr. Big wasn't there, and I don't know what happened to Mr. Big, to be honest, in this neighbourhood, and obviously the garden club would never show up. I think he was probably one of the first Sims. I could just imagine it story-wise with Vladimira. I didn't intend for Vladimira to necessarily be evil, but she's obviously a botanist and kind of loosely based on Poison Ivy from Batman, really. And I can just imagine, like, the garden club coming around when she first moves into the area, and then she uses them for her experiments. It's terrible. Poor Joe. Tucker over here is actually, surprisingly, a normal pet, as far as I can tell. Yeah. A lot of Sims with the tutorial t-shirts on. We've got Charlotte Optimus here as well, who is missing because all of the bin Sims are missing. Yeah, you can see that she's got the wrong age. It's the same thing that happened before, but it's good to know that Charlotte was there from the beginning, because I was wondering, because I never noticed her until I did notice her, and then I was wondering if she, like, developed later or something, but obviously she was there from at least this point. Oh, Charlotte has the advantage of being practically invisible right now. Will she grow? That's weird. It's actually kept her bio in this case. Tired of the lack of attention by the time she reaches her terrible teens. And she knows all these Sims, but she's not related to the Optimus household at this point. She has memories of going to college. That's weird. She met Simone at some point. That's really weird. When did she even meet Simone? Because that's one of my playable Sims, and I don't remember that. Was she broken then too? I would have noticed that. Like, look, she's levitating off the floor. I don't know. That's weird. So Lifetime wants to become Captain Hero. I'm wondering who she was merged with. It's obviously an Elder sim, because a lot of the Blue Water sims have vanished as well as the pets. She could be been merged with maybe some Elder from that neighborhood, maybe. But a lot of the ghosts as well, a lot of the like dead sims were taken to be mixed with pets as well. Which is really weird. So you've got a bunch of them as well. So it could even be one of the sims that are dead that she's been mixed up with. Ali Futa looking surprisingly okay for such a cursed surname. I think the game thinks Ali is an elder. Yeah, you can tell from, again, how she's standing, but she's not supposed to be an elder, whoever this sim is. The part that makes it a lot more difficult is obviously all of the sims they've been mixed with are just other townies. And because they're, this is a custom neighborhood, so there's no playable sims. Like, I can't just look up some of the obvious ones because aside from the Blue Water playable sims and the Simbin sims, all of the sims they will have been mixed with are townies. But I guess those would be a good one to start with, but I can't think of which one it would be unless it's some of the dead sims. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at the newer version of this hood, and it will be interesting to see if like Joseph has disappeared. The broken house is here, and I've moved them out by this point. I got her a pet cat, probably a pet cat, and that's when I noticed things were very broken. So this is actually not like completely up to date because she hasn't given birth to her child still. Okay, so I'm gonna move the Roseland household in somewhere just to see what's happened there. So let's see if Joseph pops up in this household. Ah, so yeah, Joseph is still here at this point. Joseph joined the pack. So that's their relationship starting out, so their relationship is pretty different to what it's supposed to be as well. Kevin still has normal wants, so he still doesn't have his zombie wants. So Kevin's pretty much the same, Joseph's pretty much the same. I don't know what happened to them later, that's curious. Warren is pretty much the same. Going into this household now, which I accidentally moved them into instead of the other household, but it doesn't really matter which household they get moved into. There's someone's grave that's supposed to be there. Where is the grave? You can see the candles are still there. Well, their grandma's grave used to be there, and I don't know where it is now. Got some birthday cake, plush Moo Moo toy, a lot of bears. So yeah, the gravestone isn't in any of their inventories that I can see, and it has disappeared somewhere. Yeah. She says she's died on another lot. But which lot? Which lot though? That's what we're wondering, because her gravestone is not here. It has been destroyed or, I don't know, vanished into the ether. I'm gonna go back to the other version of this neighborhood to see if her grave is there. I feel like they're in the same position though. And he's there too. I don't think I even went into this lot again, and once again we have the missing grave. I know that they can smash urns, but I didn't think there was anything they could do to gravestones. To be clear, this doesn't matter from a corruption point of view, because there was an old myth that deleting gravestones would cause corruption, but that's not actually true. It's just... But still, where did it go? It's just ironic that it's gone. From like a myth perspective, it's ironic that that gravestone has disappeared somewhere mysteriously. I did a Google search and apparently there is a glitch where gravestones can just disappear. It's not one I think I remember encountering before, besides possibly this time. Maybe that's what happened here. So I'm in the newer version of the hood again. They're now like a proper sorority house. So this is before they all graduated, but like a little further along than the other version. Why is this professor always here with the mohawk? Just hangs out here 24/7. I'm sure I put like a tea thing here or something at some point, unless I just reused this lot and I'm thinking of another build on the same lot, I don't know. Oh dear. Bed's funky. I think I've pretty much looked at everything here that I can think of to look at least for the time being. There's not too much that's different from the later version of Blightgate, but there are a couple of small differences, like Kevin doesn't have his zombie once yet, and for some reason Joseph is still in the Roseland household. I do not know what happened to him later, but he seems to have disappeared, at least by the time I was making my video on the Roseland and Critter households, and I hadn't moved them in because they were still sitting in the sim bin. I moved them in during the making of that video, so I don't know where Joseph ran off to. It was good to know what happened to Cyd, because I did always wonder, so I guess at least I learned that from this experience. And the moral of the story here clearly is to regularly back up your game. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.